In the last year, I switched from a full-time software developer to a full-time growth marketer. And in this video, I'll break down why I actually switched, the reasons for it, and how I actually got my new job. So I guess before actually telling you how I got the job, I'll give a brief intro on what I was actually doing before it. So I was a software developer for 2 years straight out of graduation. I was working for a firm in Wellington, New Zealand. I was working as a graduate developer, basically working on smaller projects and also a few larger ones, which I was allowed on throughout the firm. Now, after I'd finished work as a graduate developer, I used to go home and actually work on some dropshipping stores. Now, this is where my passion for marketing started to kick in. When you have a dropshipping store, the main source of revenue came from Facebook ads at the time. So back in 2020 or 2019, I used to run a lot of Facebook ads to these dropshipping stores. Once I actually sold my dropshipping stores, I actually started to get into contracting a lot. So I started working for smaller firms and actually helping out with marketing, learning a bit more about the psychology, more strategies, how the Facebook algorithm actually works, and build my portfolio around media buying in particular. Now, before I actually go into how I actually got those contracts, I'll actually give you my why for actually moving away from software development. In my early stages as a developer, I used to enjoy software a lot, but as things got along and as I spent more time in e-commerce as well, that soon started to take over in terms of what my passion truly was. I used to love the ability to take a store from maybe $2,000 a month to $30,000 a month, and just going through that whole progress with the founder was just something that super passionate about. Now, I think the main reason why most of you here is actually to figure out how to actually get to the stage, what you need to do, and how to get the smaller contracts in order to get a bigger job like this. So since my journey was slightly different, I used to run ads for my own store. I had a lot of experience prior to that, before actually getting into running ads for other people. Now, I use basically my stores as my own case study, but if you're starting from new, here are a few things you should be doing. The first thing would be to actually create multiple profiles on different platforms. So platforms like Contra, Fiverr, and Upwork are a great place to start. They're all free to create a profile on and actually start publishing your services that you can offer. Now, I haven't used Contra too much, but I know for Upwork for sure, it's definitely one of my favorites. All you have to do is once you upload a profile, you can actually start bidding on projects, much easier than Fiverr. So it's much easier to actually get a job on Upwork. I can create a separate video on how to bid on projects for that and how I did it and the particular script I used as well. Once you start to bid on projects on Upwork and you win them, you'll have an interview process basically going through your experience and what you can provide. If you're starting brand new, I would recommend either going for a really low price or almost working for free. Now, the concept of working for free can be taken to Facebook groups as well. So you can actually go ahead and post on some Facebook groups for Facebook ads and be like, hey, I want to work for free. I'd love to just use your, the ads that I run for you as a case study, and basically helps you learn off running ads from someone else's money. If you don't quite want to work for free when you post on these Facebook groups, you can always offer the option to work free for 2 months and then set up a monthly retainer. Maybe that's $300, $400, $500 a month, whatever it may be. But that's another way to approach new clients in particular. My strong recommendation is if you are a new media buyer, a new marketer, whatever it may be, work for free for the first 3 to 4 months, get some experience, get some resources, get some knowledge, get whatever you need in order to be able to start charging and know your worth when you come to paid clients. When you're working for this first 3 to 4 months for free, you basically want to be a human sponge and just try to get as much knowledge and experience as you possibly can. Ask heaps of questions, try different things, learn as much as you can, so when you go ahead and start charging for clients, you know what you're doing. So now circling back to actually how I got my job. Once I was able to go through all these clients and these contracts and able to get a decent amount of experience, I was able to create my own portfolio and I was actually able to reach out to a few people. I was fortunate enough that, I met the agency that I work with on a Facebook group. I was able to work with them part-time before actually having the opportunity to work with them full-time. Even if you manage to land a gig as a part-time media buyer on Facebook or whatever platform you get it on, there is an opportunity for you to go full-time with them. So do keep that in mind when you're working with someone. So make sure your relationships are always strong when you're working with an employer. So now that we've actually covered the journey and actually how I got the job, we'll move on to actually the learnings and the mistakes that I made throughout this journey. So I think the first mistake, or the learning, I guess you can take it as, is actually not asking for help enough. If you have a senior media buyer on the team that you're working with, or anyone senior that can actually help you out, definitely keep asking them for help. Stop looking at YouTube and all these other platforms for an answer. Ask your current team. they'll have more knowledge on the ad account than anyone else outside of it. It's always good to ask outside, but make sure you ask inside of the team before you actually go and find another resource outside of the current agency you're at. And the second learning isn't actually from myself, but something I've actually learned from someone else. Basically, a lot of junior media buyers I've seen in the space don't quite know actually what they're talking about. Yes, they are junior, I understand. But for example, I've interviewed a couple of junior media buyers lately, and when they walk through a case study or an account, they don't seem to know the right metrics, or they don't seem to know the reasons they've made decisions. So when you're actually making changes on the account or making particular testing protocols or whatever you're testing, whether it's creatives, messaging, make sure you actually know what you're doing and the reason behind it. Even if the test doesn't quite work out, at least the media buyers know that you have a process or a system that you kind of follow when it comes to a testing framework and a scaling framework. As a media buyer, you don't want the next hack or the next trick or fix that will actually fix an ad account. You want to make sure that you've got a system from A to Z that can actually help grow an account and grow a brand. At the end of the day, it is not your money, it is someone else's money, so treat it with a lot of respect. Now, I think the final learning I'll actually walk through is, I guess you could take it as learning, is try to actually be more active on Twitter. I've made a lot of relationships just through that platform itself. A lot of learnings, a lot of amazing people are on that platform. So by being active on the platform, you can actually learn a lot of things. Sometimes you have to block out a few pieces of content. Again, it depends case by case. You kind of have to analyze it yourself, but there are some amazing people on that platform that provide a lot of value that you can learn and even apply to your own business.